At an elementary school, in a room filled with kindergarten children, alphabet posters, papers, pencils, crayons, and learning toys, was a kindergartner named Rachel. Rachel had bright, happy, and sometimes quite serious eyes, and she was also, to put it mildly, a force of nature. While other kindergartners were learning their ABCs, Rachel was teaching other children in class how to tie their shoes with a double knot. While other children were fussing over sharing a single toy building block, Rachel was building a detailed block tower. Rachel was very polite, an intelligent girl in a sea of youthful chaos. "Please pass the green crayon, thank you very much," she would say, and the crayon would be passed. But she also had a will of iron. When an older first grader named John tried to shove her while she was playing outside, she didn't cry or flinch. Rachel stood her ground, looked the bully in the eye, and said, "I'm not afraid of you, and I won't be bullied. Leave me alone." She shouted so loudly that other children who were playing nearby and Mrs. Thorne stopped and started at the bully. John felt embarrassed around Rachel, all of the kindergarten children and a teacher giving him mean stares, and he ran far from them. No one could bully her, not because she was bigger or faster, but because she refused to be intimidated. This, however, did not sit well with her teacher, Mrs. Thorne. She hadn't seen everything that had happened between Rachel and John the bully. She felt that Rachel's confident actions and replies were a form of defiance. And when in the classroom, Rachel was scolded. She simply listened, and when Mrs. Thorne was done, Rachel would said, "Understood, Mrs. Thorne. Thank you for your opinion," and go back to her schoolwork or to play. Mrs. Thorne saw this as insubordination, and she decided she was going to have to make an example of Rachel. The opportunity came during circle time. Mrs. Thorne had seen Rachel helping another student, Dana, with his alphabet. The lesson was supposed to be a group effort, and Mrs. Thorne saw this as Rachel undermining her authority. She called Rachel to her desk. "Rachel, you know the rules," Mrs. Thorne said, her voice firm. "I'll have to give you a timeout." Rachel looked at her with serious eyes. "I understand, Mrs. Thorne," she said, "but Dana was having trouble and I was helping him. I feel it's important to help friends." Mrs. Thorne was furious. How dare she argue? The words "no excuses" were on the tip of her tongue when the school fire alarm went off, a long, loud shriek that made the children jump. The kindergarten children, only 5 years old, were startled by the loud sound. Mrs. Thorne, already feeling frustrated, was overcome with nervousness. She jumped from the loud alarm, her hands shook, and then she fainted, collapsing into her chair. The classroom full of children erupted into chaos. Some were crying, some were running towards the door, while others were frozen in place, their little faces full of fear. This was a scene of pandemonium, and in the middle of it all stood Rachel. Rachel didn't cry, freeze, or panic. She looked at her fainted teacher, saw the teacher's phone sitting on her desk, dialed 911, and told the operator that her teacher at the elementary school fell into her seat and was not awake. After that, Rachel set the teacher's phone back on the desk, and she looked at her classmates and said loud enough for all of the children to hear, "Friends, the teacher is feeling sick. We have to be calm and follow fire drill rules. Everyone grab hands and stand in a straight line." Rachel moved with courageous speed and purpose. She went to the nearest student, took his hand, and led him to the door. The other children reached for each other's hands and lined up one behind the other. Rachel, at the front of the line, led them out of the classroom while telling them, "We're holding each other's hands and walking, not running." They all walked down the hallway, a single, organized line of children holding hands, following their brave leader. Rachel led them to the nearby exit door and then outside and into the school's open field, the safest place to go in the event of an emergency. Eventually, other teachers with their students made their way out of the school building. The fire department and EMT arrived soon after, some going to check on Mrs. Thorne, while the others checked the school and declared it a false alarm. But the story of the brave kindergartner spread like wildfire. A few days later, a local news station came to the school, and Rachel, with her parents and dressed in her best clothes, was given a golden award for her bravery. She stood on a small stage holding a microphone and was asked questions by the smiling news broadcaster. "I did what we were supposed to do when there's an emergency," she said in her serious voice. And then Rachel smiled. She felt happy for what she had done. Later that night, a clip of her interview went viral. On social media, people shared the video with captions like, "The little girl who will save the world," and "Future President." Rachel became a legend in the neighborhood, a symbol of courage. But now, at school, when Mrs. Thorne saw her, she saw not a defiant student, but a true leader. She hugged Rachel and thanked her for calling 911 for help. She gave Rachel a pretty thank you card and a box of colorful, tasty cupcakes. And she never tried to give Rachel a timeout again.